The Back Door to Hell, a Changeling the Lost story. The bar was one of those seedy joints that didn't even have a name, just a glowing neon sign that advertised a local brand of brown bottle poison. The lights inside were dim and dirty, casting the whole place in a sickly light that barely held back the shadows. The stools were old and creaky, the tables mismatched, and the stench of cigarette smoke emanated from everything. It was just the sort of hole that Jacoby liked to crawl into whenever he felt the need to get out of the green for a while. Wolf stood just inside the door, drinking it all in. Most of the patrons just saw a big man in ragged denim, his thick mane of hair tangled in knots, and the bruises along one side of his face. They couldn't see beneath the glamour with their mortal eyes, but even though they couldn't see his fangs and fur, a part of them still recognized there was something off about the newcomer. Something dangerous. A couple of hard cases at the bar nodded at him, acknowledging a fellow threat. Wolf nodded back, keeping his hackles down when he saw them reach under their jackets to touch the butts of their guns. Somebody broke a game of 8-ball in the back, balls clacking against one another with a sound like dead men's teeth. A disinterested waitress gave him a wary eye before she put the table she was wiping down between the two of them. Jamming his hands into the pockets of his battle jacket, Wolf stalked into the dimness. Jacoby was sitting in a back booth, his shepherd's crook leaning against the wall, and his traveling pack filling the seat next to him. The ogre had a shot glass near his right hand and a pitcher at the end of the table. The pitcher was already half empty. A simmering heat hung around his shoulders, like a cloak you could feel but couldn't see. The mark of summer. Letting everybody know who got close, exactly who they were about to mess with. Wolf stood there for a long minute, looking down at Jacoby. "You haven't been back long," Wolf said. "I can still smell the thorns on you."
"That your blood on that jacket?"
Jacoby asked, lifting the pitcher and taking a swig from it. "Some of it, yeah," Wolf said. "Look, I got a problem."
"If it's your burden, you carry it,"
Jacoby grunted, taking another drink. "I need a shoulder on this situation," Wolf said. "Just one. There's a favor in it for you." For a second, it looked like Jacoby wasn't going to budge. Then the ogre blew a long breath out of his nose and raised a hand toward the bar.
"You're buying me another round,"
Jacoby said, tossing back the shot.
"And that's just for listening to whatever trouble it is you've dumped on my doorstep."
The waitress brought a second pitcher along with another shot. She set them down quickly and started striding back the way she'd come, without so much as glancing at Wolf. Jacoby gestured at the chair across from him, pushing it out with his boot. That was about as much hospitality as the ogre gave anybody. "I got a pack of trouble on my back trail," Wolf said, spinning the chair around and sitting in it so it wouldn't cramp his tail. He fished some cash out of his jacket, tossed down a couple of rumpled bills. "Lucius Frakes wants my head, preferably without the rest of me attached to it." Jacoby waited. When Wolf didn't continue, he started in on the fresh pitcher. Wolf waited. He'd known the ogre long enough to know that he'd say something when he had something to say. Jacoby belched.
"And?"
he finally asked. "And he put a watch on the known doors in and out of the hedge," Wolf said. "There's eyes on hollows, goblin markets, the works."
"Right,"
Jacoby said.
"So why not just make your own gate?"
"And piss off Roar too?" Wolf barked, shaking his head. "Bad enough I've got one of Autumn's major power players out for my blood. I don't see violating one of the Summer King's only hard and fast rules making things better."
"So why come to me for this?"
Jacoby asked.
"Why not just go to Roar?"
"I did," Wolf growled. "He told me if it was summertime, he'd be able to do something about it. Force the matter to a duel, maybe. Since it's his season, Lucius is playing coy. You know how he is. He's got 36 hitters out gunning for me, but they were hired by somebody who was hired by somebody else. Trail might lead back to Lucius eventually, but he's got plausible deniability, unless I can link the shooters directly to his bank account."
"So what's your plan?"
Jacoby asked. "Go to ground in the green for a while," Wolf said. "Let this blow over till the seasons change or things cool off. I've got some hobs owe me favors if I can get to 'em. Just need a way out of the city that doesn't have eyes on it." Jacoby mulled that over for a minute. He stood up, stretched his neck, and nodded at the men's room.
Come on then.
Wolf stayed where he was, frowning. "Not the kind of favor I had in mind."
You want a way out or you want to make jokes all night?
The ogre growled. Okay, I'm coming," Wolf said, standing up and shouldering open the bathroom door. The men's room was just what you'd expect in a place like this. A flickering fluorescent light lit the place up like a crime scene, revealing every streak of dirt in the crumbling grout and shimmering on the puddles on the concrete floor. The whole place felt damp, and the smell seemed to seep into your pores. There were 3 stalls, and the middle one had a handwritten out-of-order sign on it. Jacoby followed, and then shut the door behind him. The beast frowned. There was something there, but he couldn't put his finger on it.
Middle stall,
Jacoby said, pointing at it.
It's easier if you shut the door behind you and sit down.
"There a key?" Wolf asked.
Is,
Jacoby said.
You paid a favor for a way out, and I pointed you to one. You want the key? It's extra.
"You cheap son of a bitch," Wolf snarled. Jacoby folded his arms. Wolf's hackles rose, but he was the one who looked away. He shoved open the middle stall, recoiling in distaste by what he found in there. Still, he shut the door. Jacoby waited, listening. Wolf took a deep breath, then a second. A third one didn't come. Jacoby opened the door a crack, but there was no one in there anymore. Just a busted toilet, the lingering smell of the hedge. His business concluded, Jacoby relieved himself at the urinal, washed his hands, and returned to his drink. He tossed back the second shot and started in on the pitcher. He planned on sticking around town for a while, but if the streets were as hot as Wolf said, he'd be safer back in the hedge. And if anyone decided to get in his way while he sought out a more pleasant gate back to the green world between, well, that was going to be their problem.